Well, we really enjoy developing high-end products for the sim racing market, and we really get enthusiastic about products which we want to use ourselves as well.
And this is the accumulation of almost 5 years of slow, continuous development. One of the most important things that I've learned over the years is that I don't know everything. I have some ideas, but it's useless if I'm the only one who likes the ideas. So yeah, we do have to listen, and we're quite happy to listen to feedback from sim racers, but also from professionals who use our products.
Here is a load cell, not off the shelf, but designed specifically to our own specifications. Springs also made to our specifications right here in the Netherlands. And best of all, the new rubbers also developed especially for this product for the Sim Pedal Sprint.
Innovation really is at the core of a company. We started this company because we wanted to make products that were better than what was available at that time. Therefore, we're developing all the time. And with the Sim Pedal Sprint, we really made a product which is a few steps ahead in the market again.
Well, we always follow the main forums at iRacing, and our German sim racers have a very active forum. And we get a lot of email and questions as well. Customers who, for example, say, well, those Pro pedals, I love them, but perhaps I would like the brake pedal to feel a little softer. So we take that feedback in the new design with our custom developed rubbers, so that we can provide a slightly softer as well as slightly stiffer brake pedal. So the range of operation is increased, which is quite a big improvement.
This one gives absolutely the best feel, and it has been tested to over 1 million cycles, and it's still in one piece. So we have absolute confidence in this one.
What we've always had and still have with these pedals is that the form kind of follows the function. So we want minimum space usage, so everything has to be as compact as possible, but we also want minimum weight. And I'm always a spreadsheet guy, so I love to make calculation sheets where we can predict the forces of the clutch pedal, like how it falls off towards the end of the pedal. There's no guesswork, it's all engineered and designed. So beforehand we know with this spring, with this layout, we get this pedal force.
These pedals are very suitable for sim racers who build their own cockpit. They have a heavy-duty construction, they can work with high loads on a brake pedal, they're very accurate, they offer a lot of adjustability, and they really make you feel like you drive a real race car.
We have a software that we include, that we've custom developed, where you can change all sorts of settings, and it applies to the hardware. So the settings are saved on the chip on the controller board. So you can exit your simulator and you can change the curvature, the response curve of a pedal, and go back to your simulator, and your pedal response will be different.
Not only for Assetto Corsa or Automobilista, but also for iRacing. So it works with iRacing. That makes it very, very easy to set up. Easier than we've had in the past.
Actually, some of the guys who do the assembly work on the work floor, they were already tweaking with it. This is a good setup for drifting, or I think this will improve my braking. So we see that there's a lot of room for tweaking. And let's face it, all sim racers, we like to tweak and mess with things. And there's an almost endless amount of options you can do with tweaking our software. And saving it as a profile, so you can always load it back, even share the profiles with your friends who use the same pedals.
Nowadays in sim racing, people can drive a large variety of cars. With the Heusinkveld Smart Control software, you can set up your pedal set for a road car or for a Formula 1 car and really drive away in just a few mouse clicks.
are past the halfway point of this season here in the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. It is round 4 of the championship. After some thrilling racing to start off the season, we're heading on over to Holland, and it is the Circuit Park Zandvoort where all the action will be taking place here. Hello everybody, my name is Paul Smith. Alongside me in the commentary booth once again for this series is Samil Aurora, and Hugo Lewis is behind the cameras. There we go. You can see the track information up on screen. Partly cloudy skies, 22 degrees Celsius on the track, 19 degrees air temperature. So nice and cool conditions for these drivers, so they'll be able to really attack this tight and twisting circuit. And well, Samil, we were talking just before how this is a really challenging circuit for these drivers here.
Well, firstly, hello and welcome everyone. Zandvoort, yeah, I mean, personally, it's a fan favorite for myself. I love watching races over here, and I even love driving on this particular circuit. But for some drivers, the challenge is a bit too tricky because it's a track that's very narrow and overtaking opportunities are a bit limited. That said, though, the quality of these drivers in this Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series is so high that they can still get things done over here, especially considering the fact that, you know, it's a narrow track with limited opportunities. That doesn't matter. These guys will be completely on the charge here.
So these drivers do have a great opportunity here today, because as we look at the championship standings right there, the man at the top of your standings, Ross Balfour, is currently not taking part in this round. He is away, taking a little bit of rest and relaxation. So everybody else behind will be looking to take this opportunity to try and gain some positions and possibly even take the lead. Jason Cooper second with Fraser Smith. Brilliant drives from those drivers throughout this series. Patrick Kabinji, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed to be down in 4th. And then Dennis Neidhart apparently is listed twice here in 5th and 6th place. So a little bit of a typo there for you. But yeah, these standings will concentrate on the top 4. As I mentioned there, Samil, Ross is missing this week. In this round, Jason Cooper and Fraser Smith are both here, along with Patrick Kabinji. So those guys, those top 4, only 3 of them here, and it's a prime opportunity.
It actually is. On one side, you can look at it and say, okay, you know, only 16 cars here today. It's a bit of a diminished rate, this one. But on the other hand, it just provides such a huge opportunity for all these other guys to come in and score some fantastic points. So, again, I'm hoping for a good race over here. And the format will be somewhat tweaked here today as we have lesser cars competing.
Yeah, absolutely. The heat races, we've still got the heat racing, so you won't be missing any of the excitement of that style of racing. Drivers just currently in qualifying at the moment, trying to set themselves some lap times. No lap times showing as yet, as drivers try and find themselves a little bit of space, get their tyres up to temperature, and that's something that's key in this TCR car. The rear tyres take a couple of laps longer to really come into the sweet spot compared to the front tyres.
Exactly, especially when you consider the fact that this car is a front-wheel drive one. So the front wheels, they're doing pretty much everything. The steering, laying down the power, the braking as well. And the rear tire, well, if you're a big football fan, the best way you can put it is they're as useless as Ian Robbins' right leg. I mean, they're just there to steer the car around properly. And with these TCR cars, in that case, it really happens that the rear tires just get very cold, and often under braking, the car just spins around recklessly if you're too frantic on the brakes. So these drivers must be warming up their tires as well. Although it may be something very tricky to do, it is something essential to ensure that it gets some good laps in. And that is something that you would want to do, especially when you consider the fact that TCR heat races, they are very small in nature.
So Patrick Kabinji currently sitting at the top of the field ahead of Alessandro Bacialega. Martin Asher as well has just moved up into 3rd place. Sandra Petrozelio 4th, with Kevin Weinrich 5th and Dennis Neidhart in 6th place. Some of your championship contenders, I mean, Patrick Kabinji at the top of your standings, but then Jason Cooper, Fraser Smith, they've just taken a nice calm extra lap there to try and to get the tyre temperatures up, as we're on board with Petrozelio at the moment, heading through the second half of the track. Just how difficult is it to run around this very technical circuit as we're on board?
It's actually quite a tricky one. I'm a big fan of the first part of the circuit until we have the S's, but right when you go down the right-hander that goes downhill into this particular section until the chicane that we're going to have in a couple of seconds, it's a rather tricky one because you're just trying to maximize the speed that you get through the corners. But what happens is in that case that you can often mess up your braking, miss your braking points, run a bit wide and have the car understeer horribly like a pig. And in that case, you just end up losing so much time in the lap that the other person can just run away with the race lead. And when it comes to the case of the heat race and the qualifying as well, it's a tight and twisty circuit, so you want to be starting as high up as possible. And that tricky midfield section of the circuit, that second sector, it's hard to master, but if you get it right, the gains are massive.
The final corner, Arie Luyendyk corner, of course named after the fantastic driver there's Petrozelia, who we were on board with, is currently up to 4th place. That puts him up into 4th place. The timing line is actually pretty much close to the start line, which is rather unusual for most circuits. Most circuits, the timing line is towards the rear of the grid, in line with the race control. But here, race control is pretty much in line with the starting grid, and that's why the lap times and the positions can be changed right up to the very front of the grid on the start and finish straight. 3 minutes 40, there is no extra time, so if you do not start a lap with, I would say, about 1:50 left on the clock, then you're not going to finish that particular lap. So remember, we just tick to the 10 minutes and that's all the time you get here in qualifying. But looking through the field so far on the left hand side, one driver has not set a lap time here, which is Lennart Hartenberg. We can see how close it is. The first 7 covered by less than 9/10 of a second.
If we get something quite like this one in the race, I mean, we're in for a proper firecracker here. Quite a few good drivers competing today as well. We've got Bacheleka, who did quite a decent job in the first few rounds. I mean, especially when you consider that he's only new to the TCRs. He's not really racing this quite often. And he's not someone who goes in and practices 1,000 laps on the sim as well. So considering how little practice time that he's had in these TCR cars, he's been doing quite a good job as he once again goes on provisional pole. But the challenge of someone like Jason Cooper, Patrick Kabinji, and even Neidhart that you see over here in P5, that is something that really excites me quite a bit for the race, as we now see Kabinji going into P2.
Well, the times are coming in thick and fast here. Really, these drivers will only be getting about one more lap here. Marion Hensel coming across the line now, does improve 1 place up into 8th place. But there's Jason Cooper on screen, 5th place at the moment. He was up in 4th until he was knocked down by Omar Shama. Great to see Shama getting up in the top part of the grid here, Samil, because he's had a bit of a difficult time of it in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, Omar Chama just has been on the receiving end of Lady Luck, and things really haven't worked out for him. It's been a bit of a tricky start to the championship, but he's showing exactly why. He's rated quite a good driver over here at Zandvoort. Again, that's qualifying yet. How it translates into the race is a completely different story, especially when you consider that racecraft over here at Zandvoort is a bit tricky when you know that the corners aren't very wide. You can't really go too wide everywhere, so your approach needs to be very different. But I'm confident in Chama. I mean, you could see from all of his races before that he has the spark within him, and he has the potential, but just things have been going wrong here and there for him. So hopefully it's going to be a good round for him over here at Zandvoort. And yeah, I think there's a lot to look out for when we start the heat races in about a minute and a half, I guess.
Yeah, so Jason Cooper, he's got Fraser Smith right behind him as well, so they're dragging a couple of drivers. But Cooper coming around this final corner, you see the Swift Cooper car then. Down the start and finish straight. The next batch of lap times will come in. Will there be any improvements? Cooper up to 3rd, Smith up to 4th, Dennis Neidhart up to 7th place now. Omar Shama now moving up to 4th place. So those lap times were coming in thick and fast, but time is running out for these drivers. Only a few left that can actually set a lap time here, because as the clock ticks down to 20 seconds, pretty much everybody has set their lap times. Just having a look through. believe Hartenberg is going to be your last man across the start-finish line. No, Hartenberg is just coming down the start-finish straight, but he's gone onto the grass, and that is going to be the end of qualifying there. So that is your qualifying set, and 9/10 of a second covering first down to 12th place. But we've got the grid here for the first of our heat races then. Batchellega on pole position ahead of Cooper, Fraser Smith third ahead of Dennis Neidhart. In 5th place, it is Marion Hensel with Stephen Freiberghaus, Kevin Weinrich and Philip Eckart rounding out your 8 starters on the grid here for this first race of the evening. So we've got 2 heat races, 7 laps each here, Samil, 5 drivers to progress into the feature race, and we're actually going to get a pace lap start here, so we've got a bit of time to discuss what we think will happen here. But it's going to be 8 drivers duking it out for 7 laps. It's a track that's notoriously difficult to overtake at, so really you're going to be struggling for the opportunities with only 7 laps to get those chances in.
But don't forget, Paul, we're doing TCRs. And TCRs, as I always say this, it's one of a cliche that I have, it's totally chaotic racing. And these cars, drivers know that they can go bumper to bumper. Again, robbing paint is something that touring car drivers are actually quite good at. And if they can do something quite like this over here, we should be having quite a decent race. But the one thing I am looking forward to the most is going to be some very smart driving, because the drivers know, as much as we do, that the fact that this circuit is tight, it's narrow, and the opportunities here are rather limited. So having the right amount of momentum, especially to the S's that we have here in the first sector of the track, is going to be critical to try and get a move done over here. Tarzan corner, you are going to see a bit of action right there. Don't be surprised if you see a bit of carnage as well, as you see some drivers getting on the edge for a better qualifying slot. In the end, though, should be a fun race.
I will say that Tarzan, yep, that is a favourite overtaking opportunity around this track. Going into the chicane towards the end of the lap as well, turns 12 and 13, that's a great place to make an overtaking opportunity as well. So, you know, there are opportunities out there. The problem with turns 10 and 11, well actually turns 9, 10 and 11, is that you can take various lines through those 3 corners and you can really take wide arcs through them. And we're just coming up through the S's here. This is a fantastic section of track right here, going absolutely flat out through here is just incredible in one of these cars. And you have to bump it over the curbs and to really carry the speed is such a challenge. But it's then turn 8s that they're going to be heading into this downhill right-hander here, Samil. That's where it starts all just tightening up again and really slowing down.
Yeah, it really does. And I'll be very honest with you, all the way from turn 8 to turn 10, that's one section of the track I'm not really a big fan of. You can take multiple lines, and in a car that can understeer like these RS3 LMS TCR cars, it can be a bit easy to lose time over there as a driver. It can be a bit frustrating, yes, but if you capitalize on that, there is ample of time to begin. And if you get a good run out of turn 9, that chicane at turn 10 can be a fantastic slot to make a move. But there is a big catch. Your momentum needs to be spot on, because if it isn't, the other car can just sail through and make full advantage of the tight and twisty layout that we have here at Zandvoort.
Now don't forget, the drivers have been reminded that they cannot get going until the green flag, and they've got to hold their line. So you should see a nice even 2 rows of cars heading down the start-finish straight, and when that green flag drops, that's when they get let loose. The drivers have been reminded of that after the last couple of rounds in this series, where we've had a little bit of teething problems with the starts, but overall it's been really good. My abiding memory of Barcelona was turn 1, where your leaders in the opening heat, both first and second place, decided that they didn't actually want to go around turn 1.
Yeah, because I guess that's purely because of the fact that Barcelona Nacional is not really a layout that's used quite a bit. So messing up your braking point over there is a very easy thing to do. But Zandvoort, it's a bit more popular, so to say, and drivers have a bit better idea of what to expect. But again, cold tyres, Paul, although they've had one formation lap, it still may not be enough. So turn 1 braking points, that could be a proper action zone here.
Yeah, they're still going to be a little bit sketchy getting on the brakes here. So just to remind you, 8 cars in this heat, 8 cars in the second heat. 5 cars qualify from each of these heat races. The remaining cars go into a consolation race, and then according to my screen, the information that we've got here on screen, 1 driver will progress from that final consolation race. So it's all to play for. It really is going to be best of the best, but the pace car will be heading off into pit road. It turns right, the green flag is in the air, and we are going to go racing straight away. Barcelona having to get very defensive going in towards turn 1 because Fraser Smith was looking very racy down into Tarzan for the first time. Jason Cooper looking around the outside. That's allowing Fraser Smith to the inside. Neidhart is in fourth, ahead of Hensel. And as they're heading to turn 3, tricky right-hander onto the brakes for this on-camber left-hander through Heusinkveld. And then back on the power, up the hill, and then through the S's. So far, everybody behaving themselves here.
Everybody is behaving themselves over here, but Barcelona is under a lot of pressure. Cooper right on his tail, and if Barcelona checks his mirrors, they will be completely full of Cooper's car, because at the very start, especially at turn 3, Cooper was right on his diffuser. It could have gone horribly wrong, but thank goodness they've kept it together here.
Yeah, as they head on through into 9, then heading towards turn 10. Wide arc, as Samil mentioned earlier on, these cars do understeer, so you've got to look after your front tyres to a degree. Cooper taking a tighter line into turn 11. Looking from overhead here, you can see Fraser Smith, centre of the shot with Dennis Neidhart, not that far behind, putting the pressure on as they're heading into the chicane for the first time. Up over the right, you see from on board Neidhart's car. We've got the standings on the left there. I can tell you it's Freiberg House who's in 7th place. We'll be focusing on this and the heat race and also the consolation races. We'll be focusing not so much in first place but the qualifying positions. And Marian Hensel right now is on the bubble in 5th place. Although there's going to be a bit of action because Neidhart is coming under pressure, and it's side by side in towards Tarzan, and that is Hensel looking to make the move down the inside into Tarzan. Still side by side here, Samil. They could almost be rubbing paint here, but this is what you get here at Circuit Zandvoort. Through the right and then into the hairpin, and this is an opportunity now down the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact. No. Oh, and Neidhart has lost the place. Weinrich's up 2 places here now.
Weinrich just saw the gap, put his nose in, and guess what? He's got 2 positions in 1 shot. He's the ultimate opportunist in this case, but Weinrich, I mean, wow, how well did he benefit from that one? But Neidhart and Hensel at the back over there, getting a bit too close for comfort. And that is a bit tricky when you consider the fact that these guys over here need to get the best qualifying position. Something like that, it's all dramatic, it's all bravado in this case, but not really the most productive thing to do.
So Neidhart has gone from 4th to 5th, so now he's on the bubble, and Hensel down to 6th place. If you're wondering about those LED boards, they'll show the position, but the update across the start and finish line, so that's why you'll be seeing Weinrich with the number 6 in his rear passenger window. So don't worry too much, that will update as they go across the line. Replay up on screen then, and he just loses the back end. That's what happens when you can carry too much speed into that corner, and that's caused contact and damage to Hensel's car.
Yeah, it really has, and that'll be affecting his performance just a little bit. But that's exactly what you mentioned over there, Paul, just carrying a bit too much speed, and that can just turn out your rear end to just spin it on at the back over there, not providing you any confidence at all. That is just a perfect example of what can happen as we see the drivers taking a wide line.
So head on down once again onto the brakes. What will they do? Staying in line is what they're doing at the moment. Now they won't want to pick up any penalties as well, because we have seen one driver, Sam Dunstall, who's not actually taking part this week. He actually picked up penalties on the last round of the championship. He received a qualifying ban and has received 5 penalty points as well. So the team, the administrators, and it's great to have a team of administrators that's so proactive like they are, really sort of keeping an eye on not letting shenanigans happen too much here, Samil, and that's what creates this great racing, because it's fair as well.
Absolutely. I mean, touring car races, they are known for their elbows up nature and the drivers getting very aggressive, but when you have a good group of administrators who know what they're doing, that is the best way to run a series, when you have drivers believing in the integrity, as we are seeing the battle at the back over there. So again, these guys, Paul, I mean, Weinrich, Neidar and Hensel, these guys are not letting each other go.
Yeah, so you're on the right-hand side there, or well, just as I was about to mention it, cut away, but never mind. That was your lead battle. That stayed as it is. In fact, the front two, Cooper and Batchellega, have pulled away from Fraser Smith, so they've been able to gap him. But it's this battle here that we need to focus on, because Marion Hensel there, and so too is Stephen Freiberghaus as well. So Freiberghaus is not out of this one yet. He's just hanging on, although 3 drivers, 4 drivers, all running wide over the grass there. That's not the ideal line, because you're going to lose a little bit of speed down into Tarzan.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know whether these guys are quite good on rallycross, but certainly taking a bit of a detour over there on the back. Again, it's so easy to do when you're completely under pressure. You can just lose your concentration for a bit and go on the grass. And these TCR cars, hard to handle, I must tell you, on the grass, but somehow all of them keeping it together. But now they're under pressure. Now Weinrich, in this case, he's in P4, and we are seeing Neidar and Hensel right behind him. But the question is, who's going to crack first? Because these guys right on each other's tail. I have a feeling that this one is going to be quite an exciting battle towards the end.
The lead 3 have pulled away from this battle. This battle is about 3.5 seconds off of your race leader at the moment in this one. So these 4, should I say, all fighting it out, trying to get the best positions possible as they're heading through here. So through the right again at turn 10, into turn 11 then. Tricky corner. You want to carry the speed out of this one. If you can get a good run out of the corner, it means that you can carry the speed heading towards the chicane to give yourself an opportunity. But right now, everybody's just they're not close enough to each other to make any moves here, Samil, and really it's just follow the leader at the moment.
Now, that can be the case at a circuit like Zandvoort at times. We've often discussed about the tired and twisty nature of this one and the sheer lack of overtaking opportunities. You just need that outstanding bit of momentum to propel your pass so that you can get a good run and make a move in the end. And even so, even if you have that momentum, the lines over here at certain passing corners like Tarzan, you can be audacious and try to go around the outside, but in that case, the other driver must trust you quite a bit, because then the gravel trap is right there waiting next to you on the left-hand side. Just a little bit of mistakes from either driver, and you could be seeing your race going up in flames in a matter of seconds. So, yeah, passing is a bit tricky, I must say, I'm sorry. But if you can get a good run of momentum, it may just be possible. But for now, unfortunately, these guys are just sitting behind and, well, as you mentioned, playing a nice game of follow the leader.
Yeah, it's, we were actually discussing this before the broadcast. It's one track that drivers don't seem to get on with when it comes to actual racing. You mentioned it to me before the broadcast. It's a great track to do laps on. Absolutely fantastic track to do laps on. But racing against each other, the lack of opportunities that are available just makes it really difficult to actually make your way past unless you get the elbows out.
Unless you get your elbows out, or as you may know yourself, Paul, unless you're driving a Monday night skippy car.
Well, we're not in skippies today, so we'll have to talk on what we've got in front of us. Oh, now Hensel just ran a little bit wide in 6th place, just compromising his line in the exit, but that's not really going to hamper him. But you can see how he closes up into the chicane. Not the best line through there. It won't give him the best exit out of the chicane there. and he just falls back just that little bit, but you can see that he's got the great opportunity. Oh, we can see the great side by side here of the onboards. Onboard Hensel on the right hand side, on the left hand side I believe we're on board the rear facing camera of Neidhart, I do believe. Or is that, oh, it's Fraser Smith, sorry. So Fraser Smith, has he been caught up? No, he hasn't been caught up. Oh, so we've got side by side Freiberghaus and Hensel. Freiberghaus and Hensel, you can see it on the right hand side of your screen there. Hensel holding on to the place, but Freiberghaus trying to make his way through. This is 6th and 7th, battling it out.
That was a bit of a peekaboo moment over there by Freiberghaus. He's just got Hensel napping, but Hensel woke up from it rather quickly and defended that position well. That turn 3, Paul, when you come into the hairpin, if you get a good run in, you can just bully the way out of the other car. And unfortunately for Freiberghaus over there, couldn't quite get it done, but once again proving the fact that overtaking at Zandvoort is, well, as hard as passing grade levels without stunning, pretty much.
I wouldn't know, I never took A-levels. As we head on through. It's lap 6, everybody. The leader is still Alessandro Baccialega. We've hardly mentioned him at the front of the field because we've been concentrating on these battles here. But it's Baccialega in the lead ahead of Jason Cooper in 2nd place. Fraser Smith has been gapped out by the leaders now. 3 seconds behind the leaders in 3rd place. Only about a second and a half ahead of Kevin Weinrich and Dennis Neidhart, as Neidhart getting onto that back bumper, trying to feel his way through, give him a little bit of Morse code to say that he's there. Marion Hensel 6th ahead of Steven Freiberghaus and Philip Eckert, rounding out your 8-car first heat of this race week here at Zandvoort. Down the start and finish straight once again. Can't really get enough of a draft here as they're heading into Tarzan. Start the last lap, should I say, into Tarzan. It's a live broadcast, you're bound to make mistakes. But through Tarzan they're going again. Closing up there, Samil, but not making the move.
Exactly, turn 1 Tarzan corner, that was one major opportunity lost in this case, and here he comes hitting into turn 2, my goodness, Dennis Neidhart on the aggressive. A bump on the back can be a lot of things, but that wasn't a gentle reminder, that was a proper sign of Neidhart telling Weinrich, get aside, P4 is mine, but look at him, he's still blocking that position and he comes in once again past the S's, Paul. This could be a real opportunity here.
But you see, the thing is, if Weinrich holds his line and holds his position, he can just block to his heart's content, hold that line. Doesn't matter how slow he is off of 3rd place driver Fraser Smith, it's just as long as he holds on to his 4th to give himself the best opportunity into the feature race as we go into the left-hander here at turn 11.
He's got a run.
Yeah, he's got a great exit there. Will he look to the inside? He can't, because Weinrich is holding that inside line. To the outside, Neidhart not going to be alongside enough. He's trying to bully his way through. Contact between the two of them. Neidhart gets ahead. Weinrich drops down to 6th place. He's almost going to drop down to 7th place here. But we'll need to look forward to your race leader, because coming out of the final corner, Alessandro Baccialega is going to take the win in the opening heat race here of the afternoon. And 2nd place for Jason Cooper, 3rd for Fraser Smith, and Dennis Neidhart, rather controversially with that contact, in 4th place. Marion Hensel back up into 5th, and Steven Freiberghaus makes it up into 6th place, so Kevin Weinrich drops down 3 positions to 7th place. And Philip Eckert was the final finisher in that race. It was a move that was similar to what happened in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup at the start of the season for them down at that chicane. So that has happened previously, and it's happened again here. But we'll go to the grid for the 2nd heat race, and because we have got a full pace lap, we get to just take a breath and get to look at this then. So it's Patrick Kubinji, pole position ahead of Elmar Shammer in 2nd place. Sandro Petrozelio 4th ahead of Martin Aschert in 3rd and 4th, should I say. 5th place for Marcel Frisch, with Marcel Martenberg in 6th place. Andrei Rakovic and Lennart Hartenberg rounding out your final top 8 positions here on the grid. It was Marcel Hartenberg, sorry, my picture was just playing up there. But Samil, as the drivers get away on their pace lap here, that last move into the chicane, what's your take on that?
Well, I'm not going to make any blind judgments just based on the one footage that we saw. I guess I'll take my time and try and take a look at the replay and try and get a better idea. Well, more informed judgment on the same, but people in the YouTube chat are saying it's a bit dirty, so there may be some reason to question that. But well, speaking of Neidhart, that's one way to get your point proven. I mean, that's one way to get your job done. You just bully the other guy out of the way and get your position made. Again, not the most clean way to get things done, but it's something. But that aside, Paul, I want to speak about Batchellega for a second right there. He just led the race from the front in a very commanding fashion. Yes, Zandvoort is a tough track to pass. Yes, the other guys were not able to maximize on their race pace, but Batchellega is still holding out all the pressure from the top. It's easier said than done, and he did quite a good job back there.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic performance from Batchellega. We'll get a look then at the replay. That gap is always closing, but then again, Neidhart has got the nose in there as well. It's one of those where it's a bit of a 6 of one, half done. Both cars could have done something to avoid that contact. I think with the way that move was, contact was probably an inevitability with the contact being the front nose to the rear quarter panel.
Yeah, that's what happens, right, when you try and just go for moves that are a bit too ambitious on the final lap. Again, you somewhat get his intentions, trying to make a move on the last lap, trying to get an extra position and get a better qualifying position, which at a circuit like Zandvoort, which is a lot like Monaco and Formula 1, you want to get those extra places in. But again, sometimes, and just sometimes, it backfires, and it backfires really horribly. But Paul, I guess we should focus on this one. Kubinji on pole, and Omar Sharma, the driver who we spoke about quite a bit in depth in the qualifying, he starts in second. I have a strong feeling he's going to do something rather interesting over here.
Well, that's it, because we've seen Sharma in the previous rounds of this championship get involved in little instants here and there and ended up out of races. So he's somebody who has unfortunate things happen to him. I think him being on the front row with Kubinji could be really a good one for him, because it'll give him the opportunity to have a bit of space and to battle for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, a good result is what you need to just restructure a confidence and get you back on the right track. And as we've seen time and again with multiple world champions, just one good result can put you back on the right road, where you can just restructure your season from that moment on and get a good run of results. And maybe, just maybe, it could be that sort of day for Omar Sharma. But that said, it's a tough competition for him as well, because Kubinji and Petrozilo, we've seen time and again, and especially I remember the Nürburgring round, these guys are not slouches.
Absolutely not. You're absolutely correct there. So we'll be heading in towards the penultimate corner, turn 14, a 15-turn circuit here. I won't give you the numbers of left and right corners because that's Johnny Simon's. That's his gimmick here on RaceSpot TV. But heading through Ari Lyondijk, excellent driver was Ari. Really, really good driver. So. Great that he has a corner named after him, but now that's iRacing pace car. It's going to pull off to the right hand side, and almost immediately the drivers will get the green flag here. Waiting. Oh boy. And the green flag is in the air. Away we go then. 7 more laps of heat racing. And look at that, to the middle of the track is Petrozilio. He's looking to make it 3 wide into Tarzan. A little bit of contact between him and Sharma. Oh, Ashot is getting involved in that one as well. Oh, a bit of bumping and barging. And Sharma is off into the barriers. It's happened again for him. He's out of the race. Oh my goodness. What a start. What a calamitous start that was. It's Kubinji in the lead ahead of Petrozilio. Asher is in 3rd place, a rather bullied 3rd place. And then it's Hartenberg, so 2 Hartenbergs, 4th and 5th. Marcel Frisch in 6th. Andrei Rakovic in 7th. And then Omar Sharma in the pits and out of this race, Samir.
Yeah, but touring cars, I mean, you kind of expect these cars to have a lot of robustness. You can go side by side and trade paint. But what happened with Cham over there? I won't say the word commentator's curse. Well, I just have once again. As we take a look at the replay, he just goes and touches, bang. The last one was a bit too deft. Into the wall, and off he goes. Well,
I'm not convinced by that last contact from Asher.
It was a bit too light, yeah.
I think he could have held a tighter line, could have Martin, but I think he's let the car just run out into him there. That's going to be one that the stewards will look out for, that's for sure. I can pretty much guarantee that one, but we've got the rest of the race going on here, and Kabinji and Petrozelio, great position for those two right now, first and second place. And in fact, Kabinji is just pulling away from second place. So Patrick once again showing in that core sim racing car that he has the pace in this TCR car.
Yeah, he really does. He's doing quite a superb job as we now power out the final corner. I love this final corner, in fact. If you get your entry correct, you can almost take it flat out and get a phenomenal run heading into turn one. And for Kabinji being in the lead, that is exactly what he wants, because he's got quite a few talented drivers right on his back over here. As we now see Petrozelio closing up quickly. I mean, they're now coming up to a rather tight and twisty and technical part of the track, but that aside, Paul, at the back over there for the final few slots of the race, they are getting rather aggressive, I must say.
Well, I mean, we've got four cars together. We've got the two Hartenbergs together of Marcel and Lennart. Unfortunately, our graphics on the left-hand side only give surnames, so you'll have to take my word for it. It's Marcel Hartenberg in fourth and Lennart in fifth. Marcel Frisch and Andrei Rakovic, they're close together as well. So the four cars there, covered by about a second and a half. That's going to be an interesting battle going through the rest of this race to try and get themselves as good a position as possible into that feature race.
Absolutely. Qualifying positions in the feature race are determined by these particular heats, and for these drivers, getting a good result is not only a good thing for your pride, but in the final feature race it does have quite a significant impact later on. But I mean, I don't know, it's a bit of a funny thing with Zandvoort. It's almost like you've tied a rope to the other car, and they are maintaining quite similar gaps, consistent gaps to each other. And yeah, it's all good to see some rather good driving over here, drivers not making major mistakes, apart from the incident on the first lap, of course, but it just makes the race a bit more processional, so to say. But hopefully we are going to see some battles happening at the top, and hopefully it has something to do with the likes of Petrozelio and Asher, because these guys are far closer to each other than anyone else on the circuit right now.
As they go down the start finish straight once again. All spread out a little bit now. They've all just separated away from each other a little bit. Petrozelio and Asher you're seeing right now, second and third. You can see the fourth, fifth and sixth battle behind them, and yeah, it's all just settling down again. I have a funny feeling here that that this one is going to heat up as we enter into the last couple of laps, and it'll be in those fourth, fifth and sixth battle where it will really pick up.
Yeah, it really will, and these guys have to be aware about the places where they actually go for an overtake, because if the last race was a good reminder of anything, it just simply means that you can't go for moves unless you have 300% confidence in your car and on your run as well. And that one, well, was a clear example of the fact that even if there is a bit of a gap, as we are seeing the Heusinkveld car number 27 Hartenberg fighting off Fritz, you just need to have the best of runs to get a move done of it.
Yeah, so we're on board then with Marcel, and he's battling away with Lennart up in front. Lennart Hartenberg heading in towards the chicane, making his intentions known here, so just showing his nose there to Lennart Hartenberg. Through the chicane they go onto the power, but yeah, he's really, Marcel Frisch, he's wanted to make some progress forward here. He's showing his intentions, but nothing's forthcoming just yet.
Yeah, nothing exactly in the tank for him. I mean, he's putting a lot of pressure, as we see. What, that's Hartenberg disappearing for a bit of a second. Again, connectivity issues. And well, the racing equivalent of a bit of hardware failure at times, but thankfully nothing too serious for Hartenberg in that case. And Fritz is closing in. I mean, well, you kind of get a feeling that he's actually on his tail for quite a while. And Fritz, if I look at the timing, he just has a little bit of an advantage in terms of the pace, but he's not able to get something done again. So it's all potential, but there's no punch in the back.
Fastest lap of the race, by the way, officially, is a 46.921 by Sandro Petrozelio. That is the official fastest lap. Kabinji has done a quicker lap, however, he did go off track on that lap, so it invalidated it as a fastest lap, as an official fastest lap there. We're on lap 4 here. It is Kabinji, Patrick Kabinji, who's leading this one. 1.3 seconds ahead of Sandro Petrozelio in second place, with Martin Aschert a further second behind in third place. Then a little bit of a gap, and then it's Marcel Hartenberg, Lennart Hartenberg, and Marcel Fritsch, 4th, 5th, and 6th as they head on out. Now that was a little bit run wide by the Team Heusinkveld car. Run out wide out of 11, but it's not hindered him heading in towards the chicane once again, bouncing over the curbs. You want to be careful with a couple of these curbs around here because it can unsettle the rear of the car, because it's quite a springy back end on this car.
Yeah, it really is. At Zandvoort, the curbs can be a bit notorious in certain places. Again, one place that comes to mind is the chicane that we have in the back right there. Turn 10 and 11, if I'm not mistaken. And that place can really catch you out if you just go on a bit too hard over there and can completely destroy your lap. Especially when you consider the fact that the rear tires, Paul, not always on temperature. When you think of the fact that these cars are front-wheel drive. So, yeah, lots of factors to consider as we see the first of the Neidharts, that's Marcel Hartenberg, making a bit of an error heading into Tarzan corner, and now Lennart has caught up. Well, Kabinji,
Yeah.
Something's gone with Kabinji in the timing, if I'm not wrong.
He's there. He's there at the front.
Thank goodness
it's
he is.
all right. Yep, he's there.
That gave me a mini heart attack.
I think he's just having a couple of little connection problems here, which is what we're seeing right now. Hopefully that doesn't affect him adversely for the rest of the race. Yeah, he's coming back now, but he is struggling a little bit with his internet connection. So we'll keep an eye out on that, just in case he does end up dropping out. So we do apologise if the timing keeps on putting him down the order and then springing him back up. That's what happens to our timing when the connection goes. There you go, it's back again to the top, but it's this battle here. 5th, 6th place, Hartenberg, Lennart Hartenberg, Marcel Frisch, down in towards the chicane, turns 12 and 13, onto the brakes, not close enough Frisch to make any move here, but we're going to be starting the penultimate lap on the next lap here, so time is running out for these drivers.
Time really is running out, and at Zandvoort, that's such a limited thing. I mean, imagine if you're told to pass a couple of drivers at Zandvoort in 7 laps in identical cars. That's going to be a rather tricky thing to do, but these guys, that's exactly the challenge that they face in this case. But, and that's a big but, Lennart Hartenberg is, oh, it didn't sound right, Lennart Hartenberg is closing up to Marcel. But again, there's no extra X factor. That's the thing that's missing. These guys are getting good runs, they are putting in good lap times, but that extra X factor that you need, that extra punch that you need to have to get the move done is missing as always, and that's been the narrative over here at Zandvoort.
Don't forget that these drivers are all pretty much even in ability as well. They'll be running similar setups, running wide there though. Lennart Hartenberg into the grass. That's going to allow Marcel Frisch to move through into 5th place, and that shows one little mistake around this circuit and it bites.
It really bites. It's a classic old school circuit. No silly runoffs. When you go on the grass, the track punishes you. But how did Hartenberg keep it together? I mean, I know from experience, these TCR cars, when you go on the grass, they can just bite back on you so quickly, as Paul mentioned right there. But somehow, and he must be doing his rallycross practice at the back over there, he kept it together. And Paul, he's still technically in the run for it.
Yeah, he could get 5th place still. Get a replay. Look at a super slow-mo from Hugo Lewis. As soon as you get out on the grass there, it's bumpy. The back end can suddenly just back out on you, but you keep your foot down. The key to this car, to keeping it in a straight line, is keeping the power down. Even if you spin, if you half spin, it feels alien, but you actually put more throttle on because the front tyres pull the front end the right way. because as you mentioned, those rear tyres are just there to keep the back end from scraping on the ground. So that's all they're there for. And that shows that, just keeping the throttle down, keeping the power down, it goes. But now Frisch is looking a bit eager. He wants another place. He wants to beat Marcel Hartenberg here, and he wants to get 4th place. He's right onto the rear bumper now, and this is go time for Frisch.
It really is go time, but what we do not want to see over here is a replica of the incidents in the last race. He wants to make a move, he wants to get that position, but not at the price of a penalty. Look at that though, it's a 3-way battle over here, and it's pretty much a Fritz sandwich with both the Hartenbergs forming the bread, and this is going to be such an exciting final lap. Paul, middle sector, I think that's where things are going to be really exciting.
He's looked really strong through the middle sector as Marcel Frisch, and really sort of held it through there compared to the two Hartenbergs here as they come through the right at 8 in towards 9 to the brakes again. Over that curb, you can ride that curb, that's not a problem. Onto the brakes again, get the front end pointed in. You use the rear of this car to help steer the car. So you want an amount of slip in the braking, and look at that. Lennart Hartenberg saw a gap appear. He wanted that position. It wasn't happening though, and that's cost Marcel Frisch because he's dropped back out of contention for 4th place. So that one is almost sealed and delivered there. But looking up at the front of your field, Patrick Kubinji through the final corner at Arie Luyendyk, across the line to take victory in this heat race then. Another victory then, Patrick Kubinji in the heat race. 2nd place for Sandro Petrozelli with Martin Ascher in 3rd place. The 4th place battle going to the line. Marcel Hartenberg then 4th ahead of Marcel Frisch. Lennart Hartenberg 6th and Andrej Rakovic in 7th place. We'll get the results to confirm that up on screen shortly. And then Omar Shama does not finish the race. There you go, there are the results. Now we are, as was alluded to by the series admins in the YouTube chat, so thank you very much, we are going straight to the feature race here. So everybody's going to be starting this one, apart from Omar Shama, who actually disconnected from the race server. So we'll be able to bring you the grid here as we go through this warm-up lap, this pacing lap for these drivers. And I can tell you that it is Alessandro Baccialega who's on pole position then, ahead of Patrick Kubinji. So the 2 race winners of the heat races, 1st and 2nd place. 2nd row is Jason Cooper and Sandro Petrozelli. 3rd row, Fraser Smith and Martin Ascher, with Dennis Neidhart and Marcel Hartenberg rounding off row number 4. Row 5 is Marion Hensel with Marcel Frisch in 10th place. Stephen Freiberghaus 11th ahead of Lennart Hartenberg, 12th place. 13th is Kevin Weinrich with Andrej Rakovic 14th, and Philip Eckart will be on the back space on his own because of the fact that Omar Shama is not taking a part in this feature race. So that is your grid. We've seen 2 exciting heat races here, but it's all coming down to this feature race. This is where the points get decided here.
This is the big one. The drivers are preparing for this particular race for quite a while. They've been practicing at Zandvoort, they've been doing their laps in. It's all down to these next 13 odd laps that we have over here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. And considering how good the racing can be at times, these laps may go rather quickly, but I think with a bigger grid there is going to be a bit more room for more entertaining racing. But overall, I can't wait to see this battle that we have in hand between Baccialega, Kubinji and Cooper. These 3 guys have literally been standout performers so far today. How this pans out later on, that's going to be a fun one. Again, a shame that Omar Chama isn't going to be racing here. Chama, of course, has left the building, if there's an imaginary one. But yeah, this battle at the top over here, it's going to be something that's going to keep us compelled in for quite a while, I must say.
It'd be interesting to see what approach Fraser Smith takes to this race, because he's starting from 5th place, and he did mention that he was too cautious into Tarzan, and then he made just too many mistakes in the opening couple of laps. So that is what happened to him in that first race. How it will pan out for the second race, we'll have to wait and see here. But we're looking back from the iRacing safety car, the Porsche 911 safety car, and the two drivers on the front row, Bachalega and Kubinji. I'm intrigued with how this battle is going to go, because those two were swapping lap times in qualifying. They were pretty close to race times in the heat race as well. Get this, there was only half a second difference in the race times between the first heat race and the second, with your leaders going across the line. So that shows how even these two drivers are at the front.
And I just hope that this is going to produce quite a good battle towards the end. When you have two evenly matched competitors on a very high level, that is just a perfect sign of a good race incoming. Again, it's a notoriously tricky and tight place to pass this one, but when you've got drivers of this caliber, you can expect a bit more. Even more so when you think about the fact that this race is a bit longer, 13 laps to be precise, so these drivers will have time on their side. They can get the runs in, they can get a good few momentum laps in, and when the opportunity is available, they strike and bounce like a viper and get the position they want.
So yeah, an extra 6 laps for these drivers, almost double the length of the heat races. We'll get to see how they get on here for this feature race here in the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series, week number 4 from Circuit Zandvoort. It is Paul Smith and Samil Aurora on commentary here, and we're getting set for this feature race here. Drivers lining up in their corresponding queue, waiting for the green flag. It comes quite late here. Pace car drops in, and almost immediately they get the green flag to go. So they have to hold the line. Just a reminder, have to hold the line here in their queue of traffic. Pace car down, heading down. Was going to take that sharp right. There it goes. Green flag in the air. Away we go. Great start by Fraser Smith. He darts out to the right, looking to try and get past Cooper. Jason Cooper and Fraser Smith side by side. Your leaders though, side by side into turn number 1. Bachalega. They went 3 wide. Fraser Smith, Jason Cooper, Dennis Neidhart, and somehow everybody gets through turn number 1 with that. Into turn number 4 now. The Heusinkveld corner, round the hairpin they go. A little bit of side by side, a little bit of rubbing. That was 168, Dennis Neidhart. Oh, he's having a hard time. Oh, big crash, big accident further back in your order. Numerous cars, Marcel Frisch, Marcel Hartenberg, Kevin Feinrich, all caught up in that one. Massive accident, but we're going to be staying green here because the leader's coming round in towards turn number 9, and Kubinji is trying to make some moves.
Kubinji really is on the charge over here. Here he comes, Bachelet getting a sharp line over here. This could be an opportunity. He goes on the inside and they touch. Again, if you're asking me how they kept it together, I don't know. I don't know how.
Petrozelio was trying to make the most of that. He nearly made up 4 positions. These guys are just going absolute hammer and tongs here. Petrozelio up into 4th place. Fraser Smith and Jason Cooper are battling away. Kubinji is struggling. He's fallen down to 4th place. So Cooper 2nd, Fraser Smith 3rd, Kubinji 4th ahead of Petrozelio. My goodness, this queue of traffic here, it's just manic there.
It's absolute chaos going over here at Zandvoort. You know, only a few minutes ago we said that racing over here can be a bit processional. Talk about that yet again after that opening lap over here. What a dramatic one. How have they all kept it together after the incidents of turn 1? I do not know. But here we go, Paul, another movement making here.
Yeah, Kubinji down to the outside of Tarzan. You can make that move stick. Fraser Smith doesn't give up that though. He gives him a little bit of a shoulder badge in towards 2 and 3. Rear tyres are still going to be quite cold here. A little bit of front to rear action there. A push to pass from Patrick Kabinji on Fraser Smith. Fraser Smith, like that, is a bit of a fiery character, and he'll give as good as he gets, that's for sure, through the S's. Sandro Petrozelio, he doesn't want to be too close to these two, because if they have an accident, he wants to be able to take control of that and take both positions. I'll tell you one person who's liking all of this, your race leader, Alessandro Bacialega, almost 2 seconds in the lead here.
This is pretty much racing on cocaine. What a fantastic one it's turning out to be. Incredibly dramatic. And Petrozelio still on the charts. He's not letting Smith and Kabinji go. But the way Kabinji has driven so far, car contact or not, going sideways or not, he's kept that car nice and clean in. P3 is not bad, but he needs to get a good run on Cooper right here. Paul, there's too much happening. Petrozelio is going to the outside now.
Yes, he certainly is. Fraser Smith, not one for slowing down and not one for giving too much space. He holds on to that position then for the time being. Onto the brakes, penultimate corner. Get the run right out of this one. Don't run too far wide on the exit there. That exit curb, you can end up in the gravel then. And Petrozelio caught the inside curb. That unsettles the car slightly through that final corner. And Martin Ashert now behind Petrozelio is wanting to make some moves forward as well. So all of a sudden, Petrozelio needs to start looking behind, because he's got Ashert and Steven Freiberghaus as well.
And Freiberghaus is one person who we know when he spots an opportunity, he is not afraid of going down for it. P7 is not a bad place for him to be in, but you can see in the way he's driving, he wants to gun for more and get a higher up position, because in the end, folks, remember, this is where the points count. This is where it all matters, and these results go down to your points tally. And in the end, it's a long season this, but you want to get the best results now.
Yeah, we're into the second half of the season, so every result counts here. And it's Jason Cooper who, out of the 4 that were at the top of the standings, he is trying to make the most of this opportunity. But Kabinji is in 3rd place. He's keeping the pressure on. We'll still look at this battle. Looking to the inside, it's Marian Hansel who is trying to get past Lennart Hartenberg. These two slightly caught up in that accident. Marcel Fritsch has had to take a drive down onto pit road. He was involved in that major accident on lap number 1. Hensel to the outside, makes it past Hartenberg then into the chicane. I think Hartenberg kind of helped him and waved him past on that one there.
That's a rather unusual thing to do, because over here the points count, the positions matter in the end, and getting that position back at a track like Zandvoort is like fighting with an angry crocodile in that case. That's what he's doing. You have to grab it by the tail and yank it as fast as he possibly can. And for Hartenberg, maybe, just maybe, that run out of the last corner was his intention of grabbing the position back, but mind you, that's a very tough thing to do, as we're seeing a move being made over here up ahead. Paul, is that Hensel involved in this?
It is the battle further down.
For Petrozelio, yeah.
6th place, yeah. Petrozelio, Martin Ashert then. So I said that Petrozelio need to look behind, because he's got Ashert and Freiberghaus behind there. Fraser Smith just in front of him. So these guys are duking it out. This is almost a bare-knuckle barroom brawl that we saw at the start, but it seemed to calm down now. I can tell you that some of the drivers that were involved in that accident, as I mentioned, Marcel Frisch has had to take a pit stop. Marcel Hartenberg was involved, Dennis Neidhardt, Kevin Weinrich. In fact, Kevin Weinrich has looks like he's taken a tour to the pit lane. Here we go. We'll have a look at this replay of the start then, Samel.
Yeah, and just in a matter of moments, all hell's going to break loose over here. We saw the safety car pull in. Green flag is in the air. Bacialega just under a lot of pressure right there from the Cosum Racing car of Kabinji. Fenced that off properly, but in the back, look at them going 3 wide. Cooper being sandwiched, and Petrozelio on the outside as well. So far, so good. They made contact, they kept it together. But this is where things go rather loose, heading past turn 3, because Paul, in this case, if I'm not wrong, one car, I think Fritsch is the one who lost it and kicked up all the drama. Here he is now.
Dennis Neidhardt was involved in that. Yeah. And it goes through. Oh, there's a squeeze from a Team Heusinkveld car on the left-hand side. And when they're 3 wide on the exit of turn 4, and the car on the left-hand side starts moving across to the right,
you know you're doomed.
It's always going to end in tears, and that's exactly what happened there. Weinrich and Frisch are both a lap down, as you can see on our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. Lap 5 then of this race. Let's just give you a quick rundown. It is Alessandro Bacialega in first place ahead of Jason Cooper in second place. Now Cooper is coming under intense pressure from Patrick Kubinji in third place. So Kubinji trying to make up some ground on Bacialega and trying to move ahead into that second place. Fourth place, whilst we go through the rest of your field, Sandro Petrosilio ahead of Fraser Smith. So Smith down to 5th place now on that one. Martin Asher 6th ahead of Stephen Freiberghaus. That's Marian Hensel, Leonard Hartenberg, Philip Eckhardt, Andrei Rakovic, Dennis Neidhart, Marcel Hartenberg, and then Marcel Frisch is the last of your runners, with Kevin Weinrich on pit road, and Omar Shama did not take the start, but these two drivers certainly did take the start. Jason Cooper having to go very defensive here, Simone.
Yeah, what happened with Jason Cooper over there when he just made that move into the braking zone? You saw his car twitch at the back. There is a clear example of what happens in these TCR cars. If you get on the brake a bit too hard, which Cooper may naturally be doing because he wants to defend for that position with all his might, the rear end just turns on you as quick as you possibly can imagine, and that car runs out of control. That's what happens with front-wheel drive race cars. But here he comes now, Kubinji to the outside on Cooper. It's a bold one, it's a risky one, but Cooper defends. Cooper has the edge. How does he? Kubinji to the outside line with the nose up ahead, Paul.
Kubinji can make that move stick here because he's got a left before the next right. If he can hold that outside line, he's got the inside for the hairpin. That's the ideal spot that he wants to be in. Cooper can hold the outside line because it is cambered in his favour, but I do think that Cooper is just carrying a little bit of damage on the front end of his car from the opening of this race. But Kubinji and Cooper side by side through the S's in towards turn number 8. It's Cooper who's got the advantage here on the inside line, and he's just ahead. Kubinji just had to touch the brakes, I believe, just to avoid any contact there, but Cooper is doing his best to hang on. But I believe that that's exactly what he's doing. He's hanging on. He's not really able to control that second place.
He really isn't, because now we see Kubinji back on the offensive once again. You can see it in the way he's driving. He's trying to get the most pinpoint accurate lines on the circuit to put his nose in the right place and get the move done. But Paul, that was the longest I've seen cars go side by side in Zandvoort ever. And they just went side by side all the way from turn 1 towards the S's till I think turn 8 that was, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, fantastic racing at the back. But Kubinji still has to settle in, and behind him is the train, and that is Petrosilio, if I'm not wrong, who has passed Smith,
Yeah, so if I'm Jason Cooper right now, and you can see how close they got on the replay there, look at that, that is just millimetres between the two of them. But if I'm Jason Cooper right now, I'm going ultra defensive. I'm determined to keep Patrick Kubinji behind, and I'm determined to actually slow each other down to try and bring that train of cars into this battle. I want Petrosilio on the back of Patrick Kubinji if I'm that lead car, Jason Cooper.
But there's another thing about his psychology as well. If you're someone like Jason Cooper, do you focus more on defending your position, or do you take a more positive approach and try and close out to Bacialega? Yes, there's a big gap, but never say never in the world of TCRs, and now Kubinji is following that mantra. He's on his tail yet again, and he's going for a lunge now, is he?
He's keeping it in line. He knows that there's not really the room. He knows that he can get the better run out of turn 11 in towards the chicane. So we've seen Kubinji line him up to be able to make the move into the chicane. So we know that that is on for Patrick here. This is an intriguing battle for second and third place. By the way, they're 4.5 seconds behind the race leader. Alessandro Bacialega has got the easiest run at the front of your field, but it's these two that we're focusing on, and quite rightly are we focusing on these two as well. They're only 1.5 seconds ahead of Petrozzello in 4th place. So Petrozzello is dragging that queue of cars. You can see him there on screen. He's dragging that queue of cars along with him as well. He's got 4 cars behind him. Of Smith, Asher, Freiberghaus and Hensel is not that far behind them either. As we come around that final corner, once again, we're just past the halfway point of this race. And Kobinji, once again, great run out that last corner.
He's coming through for a move on turn 1. I have a strong feeling that Cooper's going to block it off yet again. As he does, he obliges and keeps that position in. But Kobinji is not going to let go of this one. He's a relentless driver. That's what has come across from the way he's driven so far. And he will be trying something getting into turn 3. He does. He gets on the rear of his car, on the diffuser almost. But still Cooper maintains that position. And Paul, in the back over there, Petrozzello is maintaining a huge train. And you know a thing or two about trains, don't you?
Well, I know about keeping a train of cars behind me on iRacing, that's for sure. I've had plenty of practice as it. But as we go through the right-hand side, and these two still neck and neck. Now, Kobinji could be just waiting for his opportunity, not fighting too much. So he doesn't want Cooper slowing him down to allow that group of cars, that gaggle of cars, to catch up. And in fact, on their last lap, they did actually pull slightly further away from 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. So these two still battling out, but it's just simmering now. It's like you put it onto a medium heat. You just let it simmer now, and it will be towards the end of the race, and we turn the heat back up. Here we go then. Penultimate corner again. Cooper up over the curbs, really attacks that inside curb on a penultimate corner. Want to try and avoid the curb on the apex of the final corner though, so it can unsettle the car and push you out wide across the line. There, last lap. Oh, he's having to feel the need to go defensive here is Cooper, because Kobinji is on a bit of a charge. He was about 0.03 of a second quicker than Cooper. Not that much on the timesheet, but you can see how Cooper went from being happy to hold his line on the last lap there, Samil, to having to feel the need to go defensive early.
Yeah, exactly. It's a change in approach for Cooper right here, and this is just a Bacialega to pull out the most insane of gaps that I've seen in any TCR heat race. 5 seconds at the top. That is mind-blowing. But what's more mind-blowing is Kobinji's desire to win this one. I mean, he's just in the heat of this battle for quite a long time, and he hasn't squandered it. He hasn't made any major mistake. That can happen when you're chasing another car, you know, because what happens is you can get your eye line fixated too much on the other car. So when they go wide or they make a mistake, you can end up making the very same mistake yourself as well. Thankfully for Kobinji, he's not done something of that sort. He's stuck right behind on Cooper. And when the moment arrives, which could be the case coming in rather soon as we approach the final few laps of this race, he could be waiting at the right spot to go in there and bounce and get that position in.
Well, I think these two have pretty much settled that second place is going to be the highest position that they're going to get. But it's Cooper just carrying the front right damage, just a slight bit of damage on the front right for Cooper. And that's just going to affect him down the straights here. Hopefully he hasn't affected his steering by the looks of that. It looks fine. It looks to be driving straight and true. To come around the final corner once again, and he's going defensive early. He's going to the inside line. He was trying to break that draft, but it wasn't happening. Here comes Kobinji to the outside of Tarzan. We saw them go side by side for half a lap a few laps ago. Can they do it again? No, Cooper chops off his nose. He knows what he needs to do here, and Cooper hangs on to that second place, but it does feel that Kobinji has got the quicker car here.
You can just feel the excitement in the screens, on your screens, I beg your pardon. Kubinji on the prowl like a wild animal hunting through the jungle. He knows his prey. He's out there on the hunt. He's been chasing and stalking for a long time. Here he comes to the outside, nudging as much as he possibly can until Cooper crashes, which he doesn't, thankfully. And Paul, you can just feel it. It's all palpable at this stage. Kubinji is getting very edgy now.
I could tell you on my timing screen that Andrei Rakovic has made it up a place into ahead of Philip Eckart, but here's the move into turn number 10. It's not the ideal move for Patrick Kubinji, but that can set you up for the exit of this corner right here, because you compromise the line of Cooper in front of you through 11. Now heading down to the chicane. Will this be the chance that Kubinji has been looking for? Onto the brakes, into the chicane. Cooper last of the late breakers, a little bit of bumping, paint swapping happening there, and Cooper still hangs on to that second place, but for how long?
They're just gonna go right till the end like a proper Titanic battle in this one, and Kubinji still doesn't let him go though. Cooper defended the position extremely well. It was an immaculate defense by Cooper right there, making full use of every single millimeter on the track. But Kubinji's back on the charge yet again, using all the draft, heading towards the outside line into turn 1. This is the opportunity. He's been setting it up for a while. Here he comes to the outside, Kubinji. And still side by side, door to door, Paul.
Oh, a little bit of rubbing. Kubinji runs wide over the gravel. It's not too bad out there. You can hold it out there, and that's exactly what he's done. But right now, Cooper is very much a wounded duck here, and he's very much a sitting duck. And it's just a case of, basically, it looks as if it's going to be a case of when, not if. But Cooper is a tough customer. He will hold on to that position with all his might. Kubinji has got the inside line. That's the run he needed into turn number 8. Turn number 9, if he can hold it there, can get him the advantage. But no, again, Cooper chomps off his nose, but he's compromised his line. He's now taking compromised lines into each of these corners, and each one of these corners lead into the other, and that is what Kubinji wants here. We've lost Fraser Smith. He's had technical problems. He's out of this race, so that means it's now just 3 cars battling out for 4th place. But forget that, we're looking at this battle. Cooper hanging on for dear strength into the chicane. Be careful not to go too deep there, Jason. He holds it on, parked it on the apex there. He does not want Patrick to try and get the cutback here.
If you could see through the visor of the car right here, you would just see a whole lot of tension. Be it Cooper or be it Kubinji, whatever it may be, it's Kubinji at this stage, the onboard that you're finding out. It is just all nothing but excitement. Another run, Paul. Turn 1 has just turned out to be a major hotspot. To the outside or on the inside? He goes to the outside. This is his choice. This is his move. Is he going to get it done now? No.
Yes,
no,
yes, he is. He's holding that outside line. That's what he needs to do. We've seen this a few laps ago. Kubinji, he's still going, holding that outside line. He's got the inside for the hairpin and Hugenholtz. This is the opportunity. Cooper, it seems that he's worked his tyres too hard, and Kubinji finally makes the move stick. Fantastic driving from both of them. Millimetre driving between the two of them. And Kubinji finally makes it up into 2nd place ahead of Jason Cooper, and I feel that Cooper is going to drop back quickly here as we're on the penultimate lap already.
Oh my goodness, what a fantastic move that was from Kubinji. He set it up, believe it or not, for 12 long laps. That's how long it takes to get it moved on over here at Zandvoort. And I got so excited, I punched my fist in the air, unfortunately, and hit a wall. And I'm getting a bit of a bruise right now, but that doesn't matter because this battle so intense and so amazing towards the end. And now, Paul, this battle at the back of it with Petrosino leading that train, that becomes the main focal point. And now Asher is at the back. He's seen Kubinji done something right here. Can he replicate something like that on the last lap of this race?
Well, he's not got long. As you mentioned, we've got one more lap to come here. We'll get the replay again. And it was that move to the outside. And it was, for once in a while, it actually worked out that you try again. And finally, it worked out for Patrick. Jason Cooper has superheated his front tyres. He's really struggling for grip now. Final lap we're starting right now. We need to look at the battle for 4th place as, Bachalega is way out in front. But look at this, side-by-side action for 4th place now. Petrosilia and Asher, they're going door banging through 2 into 3. Petrosilia holding on to that position for the time being. Asher almost giving him a little bit of a bump and run there. Decides against it, but through the turn number 4. Corners are running out for these 3 drivers right here for them to make any moves. But Asher, as you mentioned there, Savell, he's seen what's happened in front and he's seen that it is possible to make that move. So, around they go. Turn number 9. Laps have almost run out for them. Different lines being taken into 10. Turn 11 coming up. It's that run that you need to get out of turn 11 to take you into the chicane. Dennis Neidhart and Andrei Rakovic, they are switching positions down in 9th and 10th place. I can see on my cameras, but look at that across the line then. He's so far ahead. He's won this race here then, has he? Bachalega. Oh no, he's almost at the final corner, should I say. I'm getting ahead of myself, but he is through the final corner as Bachalega then to win this race. What a result, what a masterful drive there from Alessandro Bachalega. Wins week number 4 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. My goodness, 2nd place is going to be Patrick Kavinji ahead of Jason Cooper, and it's going to be Sandro Petrozilo in 4th ahead of Martin Asher, Stephen Freiberghaus and Marian Hensel. Leonard Hartenberg is 8th ahead of Rakovic and Neidhart and Eckhart across the line. Final couple of drivers that are going to finish this race is going to be Marcel Hartenberg, who was involved in that opening lap shenanigans, and Marcel Frisch as well in 13th place. A little bit of handbrake turns going on there on the exit of turn number 1, but Marcel Frisch is going to be the final one of you drivers that will come across the start and finish line with a very battered and bruised car. But we will be able to give you your final race results here, and my goodness, well, we hardly talked about him all race there, but Alessandro Bachalega, what a masterful performance to win this one by 8.1 seconds ahead of the battling Patrick Kavinji and Jason Cooper rounding out your top 3 podium. Sandro Petrozilio, 4th place. He hung on there at the end ahead of Martin Aschert, with Stephen Freiberghaus in 6th. Marian Hensel rounds out your 7th place in that group of 4 that was battling towards the end. Leonard Hartenberg then 8th place ahead of Andrei Rakovic and Dennis Neidhart, one of those drivers involved in the opening lap incident, rounding out your top 10. In 11th place in this race, an improvement throughout this race, Philip Eckert started further down, +4 position for this race in 11th. Marcel Hartenberg involved in that opening lap shenanigans, and Marcel Frisch, who had a very battered and bruised car, comes home in 13th. Drivers who did not finish this race: Fraser Smith, who had a computer failure, Kevin Weinrich, who was involved in that opening lap incident, and Omar Shamar did not take the start. Wow, that was magnificent racing, and that is what you get from the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. Unbelievable and absolutely epic driving. But what we will do right now is just take a quick breath, a quick moment to step aside for just a couple of messages, and then when we'll be back, we'll be here with the post-race show here on the iRacing Esports Network. Well, we've got our breath back from that one because, okay, the heat races may have been a bit calm and placid, but that feature race, my goodness, what exciting, exhilarating, fantastic racing we got from those drivers, and respectful driving as well on the whole. Yes, there was a little bit of paint swapping, but my goodness, it was fantastic action. Well, you are watching the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series here on the iRacing Esports Network. Paul Smith and Sunil Arora, and well, we've got the results up on screen. We've not really talked about him, so let's focus our attention on him. Alessandro Bacilega, what a performance it's been from him today, and what a drive it was for him to be able to get so far out in front so quickly.
He was just dominant. He was absolutely unstoppable over here at Zandvoort today. I mean, the way he drove, the way he controlled the race from the front, there was a lot of action going on right behind of him. We saw some major crashes into turn one, into lap one, I beg your pardon, and so much happening right behind of him. Kubinji making a dramatic move on Cooper. He didn't bother. He simply did not care about that. Went on, classic leading race that he did, put his visor down, did his job. Fantastic win in the end. 8.1 seconds. 8.1 seconds in a 13-lap race of a track as small as Zandvoort. That is mighty dominant. Just about as dominant as Mercedes this year in Formula 1. But wow, Bacilega on the charge.
He certainly was, although he was helped by the two in second and third place fighting away. But why don't we get a word then with our feature race winner, and Sunil, you've got Alessandro with you.
Alessandro, mate, that was incredible. We were just singing praises about you a minute before you joined in. How good was that?
Hi all. It was easiest than I think because battle for the second obviously helped me a lot to gain an advantage, and because TCR races are very close, so it was easier. It was easier than I think.
Well, once again, a fantastic performance. And how did you balance things out in the end? Because normally, as you said, TCR races very close, but just driving out in the front, but nobody to bother. Is that a bit of a psychological change for you?
Sorry, I don't understand a little.
So I mean to say, normally in TCRs, you've always got one car fighting next to you. How does it feel like when you're the only car in TCR?
Okay. I understand. Nothing. I concentrated with the pace and try to go faster as possible and gain the advantage.
Oh, that was superb. And the next round is going to be...
But in my mind, and in the beginning, I had imagined a close race, but Jason probably will make an error at the start of the race, and so he was fighting with Patrick, and so it was easier.
Now, you managed it very well. Next round is Interlagos. How excited are you for a race like that one? Because Interlagos, very wide circuit, a lot more overtaking is possible.
I like Interlagos. I hope more drivers join the race, because today only 16 drivers makes me sad. But I enjoy Interlagos.
That's a good track. Once again, Alessandro, just before we let you go, any team members, any friends, any family members you'd like to speak about or give a shout out to?
All the team, as usual. Omar, my TCR mate, and I want to congratulate him with Jason and Patrick. He was very, very, very fast.
Well, fantastic stuff, Alessandro. Great driving in the end, and congratulations. Great to have you here, as always.
Thank Racepot.
Well, there we go then. Race winner, Alessandro Bacialega. Always great to speak to our race winners here, but well, we'll get our closing thoughts here because Samil, as I mentioned, the heat races were a little bit calm, but my goodness, that feature race, and we've got to mention it again, that second and third place battle was absolutely epic.
That's the only word to call it, epic. And now that is exactly why I call TCR races to be totally chaotic racing cars. They just never disappoint. They always end up producing a good race. Yeah, maybe the heats may be a bit cautious, all that aside, but you somewhat had a feeling that when the going got tough, and when the challenge just became a little bit tougher in the feature race, that's when all the drivers would go bonkers and show exactly why we love touring car races, and that's what we saw here.
Well, that's going to be it for us here on this broadcast, but the race action is still going on right now. At the moment, there is the Indy Pro 2000 series currently live here on the iRacing Sports Network from Spa-Francorchamps, so make sure you join Connery and Ryan for that. And don't forget, this weekend, the VCO Cup of Nations is also going to be taking place as well, so you don't want to miss that, as we've got nation versus nation. I am absolutely looking forward to it. The first race of those is going to, the broadcast should I say, the first broadcast is going to be from 4 p.m. UTC, that is 5 p.m. UK time. But from myself here, from Samil Aurora, and from Hugo Lewis behind the cameras, this has been round number 4 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. Join us next time when we're going to be taking the road and the flight over to Brazil and Interlagos. Join us then. Until next time, it's goodbye.